Hello, beautiful souls. The luck of the Irish is upon us. March is all about the color green. This to me symbolizes plants, gardening, and growth. Green can also symbolize our material wealth, or in more general terms, our abundance. So what does green symbolize to you? In the U.S., we celebrate March 17th by wearing green, so we don't get pinched, of course. We may visit a pub and drink some beer, 1 or 2 or 5. Others cook their yearly special meal of corned beef and cabbage with au gratin potatoes, or like me, I really try to do all 3. So in Ireland, though, this marks the death of St. Patrick and is celebrated around the world as the story of how this individual suffered greatly in Roman-controlled Britain in about 390 AD. Being sold into slavery as a child to a Druid chieftain, he against huge adversities found his way back to a higher power, once being an atheist, eventually leading him to become a priest, and through his special gifts of channeling through dreams, visions, and astral projecting, he completely changed his stars by living by his divine intuition. Now, our question for Spirit in this series of messages celebrating this beautiful green holiday: where can we sprinkle a little fairy dust that we could use like this spontaneous explosion of growth in our lives to push us forward and help us jump a timeline? Where can we find the magic again? So let's tap into these messages from Spirit and see where we can find an opportunity for growth, expansion, and jumping into a higher frequency, a higher timeline. Super exciting. So happy you decided to hang out with me. Let's get into it. If you're a new soul visiting, welcome. I'm Cyndi, and I'm excited to share this message with you today. If you clicked on this video, Spirit has a message for you, either from your higher self, source, your spirit guides, or someone in your life you may have a deep spiritual bond with. With love and gratitude, we are thanking our angels, spirit guides, ancestors, and divine source for these messages of divination. We are asking for your divine protection for me and all souls listening. With love in our hearts, let's tap into this energy. Hey there, Scorpions. Welcome in. So if you've listened to any of my other readings, I decided this month, instead of going from A to Z or Z to A in how I release the messages for the month, that I was going to put all the names of the zodiac signs into a bowl and pick one at a time. Kind of like luck of the draw. Last night before I went to bed, I chose Scorpio, and I kind of have been sitting on it for a while before I actually pull some cards. And I had a lot of messages come out for you right from the get-go that I wanted to talk about and just kind of turn this into more of a channeling with the use of the cards. I myself was given a message yesterday that everything that I need to know, all the knowledge, all the wisdom, can be found inside of me. It's not, once again, outside of myself in the tarot cards. So for those that, enjoy tarot, understand that tarot can be hints and clues to us, but we shouldn't become reliant on them either, because we're learning how to strengthen our intuition, our clairaudience, our clairsentience, and we can't do that if we only rely on the messages from other people. With that said, opening myself up like that, things have been changing, and I'm getting more messages, like even before I grab a deck of cards. And the first message that came up for you, Scorpio, today was pain changes you into something you're not. I recently realized in my own life that because of the trauma, the pain, the suffering, for years, in my teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, that I had become somebody that I wasn't. I had become fearful of, being the person that I normally was. I was the girl at 4 years old that jumped on the horse and never got off, along with my best friend. Giving her a shout out there, she's listening. But that's who I was by nature. I was fearless. I did what I wanted to do. I was passionate about it. I had just an incredible love for nature and horses and grounded, and that I had a very wonderful childhood because of being able to ride a horse. It was my sanctuary. It was everything to me. And as we go, and I went away from horses, and you go into your life and you get married and you have kids and divorces and deaths and trauma and all these things that we live through and we experience, somewhere in there we lose ourselves. We literally put so many, defense mechanisms and resentment from past experiences, and we bring all that guilt, fear, and shame of making mistakes and not being good enough, that we literally lose who we really are at our truest core, which is a fragment of source incarnated in a vessel. So we're detaching ourselves from that energy even more because of our pain and suffering. Okay? So when we sit in that pain and suffering and we don't heal it, because we're not taught to heal it, right? Nobody says like you need to do a check-in on your soul, on your emotions. Maybe we touch on our mental health. I just saw 333. And yes, we check on our physical health and we do things to be healthy, but we never touch in and do a tune-up on our soul's health, right? Like you do a tune-up on your car. Would you drive your car for thousands of miles and never do a tune-up or change the oil? No, you're going to have to put brakes on it. You're going to have to do oil changes every 3,000 miles. You're going to have to check the fluids. So I guess what I'm getting here is that we all go through pain and suffering. We all change because of that pain and suffering. But now that we're aware of it, even if you're listening to this message, claim this healing energy by tipping 555 in the comment section. For sure, if this is you and you're resonating, now it's time for us to look under the hood. The universe is asking us to rise into these higher frequencies for us to do a check under the hood. And it really, you say, well, where do I start, Cyndi? How do I start healing? I started with anything I was fearful of. Just right there, I just saw 444. Anything that stopped me, anything I didn't want to do, anything that I was like, no way, I'm not doing that. That's where I kind of went, and I said, Spirit asked me, why do I have a fear of drowning? I never had a fear of water. I water skied. I was in the water constantly. I loved to swim. Rivers, fishing, wherever. But I had a fear of drowning, and that was unprecedented in this lifetime. I've never had any experience of somebody drowning in my lifetime. So I had to kind of go deep inside and ask Spirit to show me, why do I have this fear of drowning that I carry with me? This is something that was generational. And I was shown that in a past lifetime, in like a village, it felt like, Norse times, like Viking times almost, that our village was ransacked and I was actually killed by one of these brutal mercenaries, whatever you want to call them, ransackers, pillaging the pillagers. They were going around and pillaging the villages, held my head under a bucket of water and killed me that way. And it was like, when I saw this, I had to learn to let go of the fear of just drowning, but also of dying. In that moment, I had to surrender. I knew it was my time to go, and it became something very peaceful for me. But in my lifetime now, that was a fragment of my soul that was left behind because of trauma. Trauma fragments our soul, and what we're healing and doing, we're bringing those pieces back into us. So by me being able to remember what it was, or be shown by my spirit guides what it is that caused me to have a fear of drowning, I was able to heal that, to know I don't have a fear of death anymore. I know it's a transformation. I'm not going anywhere other than on to my next mission. Skippity-doo-dah-day, gonna leave this beat-up vessel behind. There is no fear of death when you know you're an eternal being. And so pain changes you into something you're not. We're having to take responsibility for healing. We're having to put our souls into the garage and do a tune-up on them. Probably something you have not heard before. I am certain of that. Okay. Another thing that came up for you guys is can't build a future on maybes. So because of our fear, it causes us to be indecisive, analysis paralysis. A lot of Libras that are incarnated right now, this is one of their soul's purpose to overcome. You'll see in their natal birth charts, to overcome the indecisiveness. That's how they have a little, taboo about them being indecisive, quote unquote. This is where this comes from, because they're coming in to try to get over their past fears and be able to stand firmly in their decisions and support them and know, I trust myself. Why? Because maybe in the past I had made wrong decisions that caused me humiliation, pain, suffering. I had a financial loss. I had all these losses. So I attach that fear to making decisions because I've just grown so comfortable where I am. I don't want to reach out and challenge myself because of the fear of what could happen. So we sit in analysis paralysis. We sit in indecisiveness. We sit in our heads. It causes anxiety. It causes panic attacks. It causes us not to be able to sleep. It causes us to have stomach problems because this energy is stifled. And the universe just has it keep coming up again and again until you're going to address it. Why am I so scared to move forward in this area of my life? Ask the spirit guides to show you. They will guide you, and you will be able to see and have an epiphany of what it is that's holding you back, that fear. Maybe this message is clarifying that. If you stop doing things in life because you're afraid of being shamed or you're afraid of failure, well, that's probably because in a past lifetime you had a royal failure. You left that life bitter and resentful because you had failed at something. Maybe it was at a relationship and your twin flame had left you. A lot of twin flames come in to this incarnation with predispositioned feelings about their twin that they can't understand. Sometimes it's an anger that, you did me wrong or you're going to do me wrong because in the past they had a separation where maybe one of them died and left them, said you were never going to leave me and then you died. So they go through a lifetime in bitterness and resentfulness. Ooh, I'm having a big download this morning. Okay, Scorpio. Take what resonates, leave the rest. Energy is fluid. It's ever changing. This is just coming right now. If this resonates with you, let me know because this is kind of a new way of me doing things. Now, the third thing that came out, I was talking to my son this morning and we were talking about how we name our vehicles. I just saw 1018. We name our vehicles a female name. My son Damon's Subaru is named Felicity. My Subaru is named Pearl. My son's big diesel truck is named Broomhilda. He calls her Hildy. So I looked up and I said, well, what does Brunhilde mean, right? I was so interested in that. And I want to share that with you because this is so relevant. And this is like part of your message today. Brunhilde is a beautiful Valkyrie or shield maiden princess within Old Norse mythology. I've already talked about having a flashback or a vision about the Vikings, right? That time where I drowned in a lifetime. A Valkyrie in Old Norse means chooser of the slain. They were the god Odin's special attendants and battle maidens. Brunhilde might be one of the Valkyries who were even Odin's daughters. Others were the daughters of mortal kings. Brunhilde and the other Valkyries vowed to remain virgins and always obey Odin in exchange for immortality and invulnerability. So just like the Virgo high priestess, she vows to serve the higher good. And, Virgos are known for their virginity. It doesn't mean they don't have sexual relations with other people. This means their sole purpose and their dedication in that incarnation is to the higher good. And, Odin is just an archetype of the highest source. And she would do that in exchange for immortality and to never feel vulnerability. So that makes her very powerful. She just, smashes right through her fears. I just saw 1212. Now, they also have the honor and responsibility of traveling to Earth to choose worthy heroes amongst the battlefield that are dead to bring back to Valhalla. So that's so neat. So they're the ones that then go find other souls that can hold the position of like these advanced warriors. So Brunhilde, along with the other maidens, is described by the Old Norse as being an astoundingly beautiful young woman with golden hair who rides a white steed. Okay, so now we have incoming white steed. Knight in shining armor rides in on their horse. White steed was in, I just saw 1300. White steed was in my Aries video. It's been popping up. And so my son and I are sitting here and we're talking about Brunhilde, and I go, well, white steed. I'm like, I keep seeing that. So I as I'm looking up, I find this white steed in the Brunhilde. I look, it's 10:18, and I put in my Virgo reading that I had been hearing Chris Stapleton over and over again. Like, those songs just flood in my mind, and particularly I had heard the song White Horse recently. Chris Stapleton was not a part of my life for a very long time. I couldn't bear to even hear it. It was like nails on a chalkboard, for certain reasons. And then all of a sudden I open up, I go through a big batch of healing, and I hear that he's got a new album out, and every single song on that album is like relevant. If you haven't checked it out, you like country, Chris Stapleton's the man. So I wanted to read you the words because this is actually so beautiful, just these preliminary messages. I'm going to pull a couple cards, but I almost feel like I don't need to. It says, this love is getting kind of dangerous. Feels like it's a loaded gun. My, it's turning like a cloud of dust. My heart always wants to run. So when we're in fear, when we're in pain, right? What did we say? Pain changes you into something you're not. Because of fear, it takes away you being a warrior. It takes away you being courageous as a soul. You're here to have these experiences, to run out there and just embrace the adventure. Be the fool, the risk taker. Just go after every passion and desire you want. Just balls to the wall. But because we haven't done a tune-up on our soul, this pain then turns into fear. This fear then turns into the refusal to change. And the refusal to change puts us in a position of indecisiveness, Scorpio, where we can't move. We get stuck like that deer or that squirrel in the middle of the road that you're coming up. It sees you. It feels the vibration. You see it. It puts it in a panic mode, and it just bounces back and forth. Ding, ding, ding. Not making a decision one way or the other, which side of the road to run to, which path to take. So if you don't heal your pain and suffering, if you don't, as you go through your ascension process and ask the spirit guides to show you why you have these fears and help you clear them, it's going to keep you in stuck, stagnant energy, and you're not going to be able to stay in the 4D and 5D frequencies. Your vibration has to be out of those lower emotions and feelings of guilt, fear, shame, revengefulness, envy, jealousy, competitiveness. Those are all low vibrations, and they come, yes, as a result of our wounding, but you're being asked to be responsible, to take charge for your healing, to do a tune-up on your soul and look at those things about yourself so that you can raise up into the higher frequencies. You don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss the boat. All right, let's keep going. The chorus to the song says, if you want a cowboy on a white horse riding off into the sunset. Virgo's reading was about a divine masculine, a Libra possibly, air element, that wanted to take their divine feminine and just go on vacation with her and get away from everything and everybody just with her. It says riding off into the sunset. If that's the kind of love you want to wait for, hold on, light girl, I ain't there yet. No, I ain't there yet. Oh, hold on tight, not hold on light. Maybe that's relevant too. Hold on to the light. Hold on to the belief that maybe you don't see things happen in the 3D, but in the higher realms, things are being moved and shake. Everything you heal, every epiphany you have is bringing you into higher alignment with your true self, your fearless self, your warrior self. I started off this reading by saying I had lost myself. I had lost that giddy childness of being courageous and not being fearful of nothing. I rode my horse from sun up to sundown. I rode my horse in the snow. I rode my horse in the rain. I rode my horse in the middle of the night when it was pitch dark and I couldn't see where we were going, but that horse knew where to go. It would lead me. I fell off my horse and had more concussions than I could even count. Back and forth to the emergency room, scrapes. My friend Paulette broke her ankle. Shout out to her again. She's on my mind today. Her and I rode side by side since we were kids. We were neighbors since 4th grade. We were on our horses and inseparable for over 10 years. So her and I have a very deep bond. So the song goes on to say, someday maybe you could have your way. Right now it's not the right time. Some things a man's just gotta do. I wish you could change my mind. Like they're stuck in this analysis paralysis and they feel like they have to go on their own journey. They have to learn their own lessons. lessons in their time. There's things that they feel like they need to do for themselves, right? So this is saying, don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't lose sight of love. Don't lose sight that this is your experience. Don't wait for someone to change. Don't wait for someone to find their way. We're not here to save people. We're not here to reach down in the mud and pull them out, even though you can see them and you know that they're struggling and you know they're in the shitstorm and they're just going through it, because we've been there and we've come out of it knowing that we can now support others. But it means support them energetically and with love. It doesn't mean necessarily intertwining and you thinking that you can save them. Empaths, are you hearing me? As a fellow empath, we cannot save these people that are choosing to remain in the third dimensional vibrations of guilt, fear, shame, revenge, jealousy. You can identify these people because their life is a shit show and everything is falling apart at the seams. And I know it's in us. I know we want to just grab them and embrace them and bring them onto our ship and save them, but we can't. This is their soul's journey. This is their soul's journey, finding themselves to who they truly are, just like you had to find yourself and who you truly are. Now, Scorpio, if this is you and you're going through this and this resonates with you, don't lose me in YouTube world. Hit like, share, and subscribe. I didn't even pull any cards for your message today, and I'm not going to. I've talked for 20 minutes. Regardless of what side you're on, let's say this is a twin flame journey. I believe I am on the twin flame journey. It is my ascension path. I was lucky enough to meet my twin flame and go through my Kundalini awakening and have my spiritual evolution go into high gear. We planned, it was meant for that to happen. All this divine timing, weird things, including having it be a meteor shower, having duplicate tarot readings, having synchronicities when I didn't even know what synchronicities barely were, transpire the day that I met my twin. But we're coming full circle now. We're seeing that, as you go through your ascension process and you go through your separation with your physical side of your twin soul, and then you start to do your healing and you start to let go of the resentfulness, you start to let go of the pain, you start to let go of the suffering, the envy of them, the triggering of them, and you start turning inward and you look at yourself and you realize that these were things that you all needed to heal in yourself, that you could never have been in a healthy relationship unless you had actually taken the time to heal and to find yourself. And now we're being asked to hold space for our partners, not just your twin, but everybody around you, your unawakened spouse, your unawakened children, your unawakened bosses, your unawakened parents, whoever it is that is still holding on to that third dimensional reality of living in guilt, fear, shame. They're choosing that for themselves. Their soul is choosing that because they are on their own journey. They have their own ascension timeline. And as much as we want to save them, we can't. But I like this Chris Stapleton song because basically it's saying that, don't wait for something outside of yourself. Don't wait for a knight in shining armor. Don't wait for somebody to come riding in on a white steed. Don't wait for some, to hit the lottery. Don't wait for, anything outside of yourself to stop you from being who you truly are, to do your healing. Self-love is about taking the time to love yourself so much that you're going to dig into who you are, why you are, what you've been through, and what you've learned from those experiences. And then forgive yourself, forgive others that are involved, clear out that dense energy, that low energy that's just holding you down into the third dimensional reality. It's keeping you from living a life where you look outside and everything is, sunshine, rainbows, fairies, magic, instant manifestations, downloads, synchronicities. I mean, we live in such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful existence, but our perception is what dictates what it is we see, because we are the co-creators of our existence. Every emotion, every thought that we put out there is being reflected back to us. So if you're living in fear, guilt, and shame, and you're miserable and you're going through it, it's because you're putting that out there into the world. That's how you think about other people. That's how you think about the world. You think it's dismal. You think we're going to hell in a handbasket. Everything is wrong. You will continue to create that. We as a collective all have to come into the realization that we have to change our emotions and our thought processes about what it is we see in front of us, what it is we see as a future, as a collective of souls that lives on planet Earth, that the veil is lifting and we're now being released from those low dense energies. So anyway, wow, White Horse, Norse, facing past fears of, that fear of drowning was huge for me to clear, to understand that. So also be prepared as you ascend. You also start to get more understanding and more glimpses of your past lifetimes. You start remembering stuff, which can be very interesting. And yes, people look at you like you're totally and absolutely nuts. But everybody has the potential to see these things. Everybody has the potential to rise into those higher frequencies where you're connected back to source energy. Therefore, you're connected back to the Akashic records. You're connected back to remembering, all your soul's cosmic history. We just don't have a human history. Our soul has a cosmic history, and your ascension is about discovering that. But you can't do that if you stay in the lower densities. You can't do that if you don't give your soul a tune-up. So I hope you enjoyed this message. I hope you got something out of it. I hope your cup was filled just a little bit with some sunshine, maybe a different perspective to look at things. Like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate all those energetic exchanges. And bear with me, I know that was a little bit of a change to get rid of the tarot cards. Hey, that's what I've been being led to do more channeling. To basically, the universe said, to go within. The answers are always within. And sometimes it starts just by listening to a message that points you in the right direction. And you understand now that your soul may need a tune-up. So welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Be patient with yourself. I'll see you at your next reading. Peace and love.